today we have this gentleman lined up. He is Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Okay, who is he? He is Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And he is quite, very much not like the earlier thinkers. Why? Because of things that he has said. Actually, no one has said that. What he's saying, no one is saying. And he's actually associated with uh, he is actually associated with shines so bright with French Revolution. Okay, so he was born in 1712 and he died in 1788, I guess, something like that, 88 or 78. I'm confused between these two. But the point that I'm trying to tell you that he is the major inspiration. Okay, so when I has noted something, say what she's saying, that he is the only thinker who is smiling. Rest of the thinkers are very thinkers-like, right? Thinkers don't smile. Philosophers don't smile. Political thinkers are very serious creatures, right? They have this impression. So talking about Rousseau again, that he has talked about he's an inspiration behind the French Revolution. And how many of you, or let us leave French Revolution, else it will be very tough for us because that's a very, very long thing. Just to sum it up, that there was a monarchy, Bourbon dynasty, Louis the 16th, and you imagine 16th king. So, of course, people were used to monarchy, and that monarchy was done away with in a very brutal way. The king was guillotined, which means he was beheaded. His queen was beheaded, and most of the royal family they were killed. And then the social order of France it was witnessing a churning. Right? It was witnessing a churning, and something new emerged out of. So French Revolution is actually a very bloody revolution. It's like it's not a happy revolution like the Russian Revolution where only two people died in 1917 Bolshevik Revolution. So Lenin and Stalin compensated for it because they killed so many people. So what happens here that he is also called a thinker of paradoxes. You understand what is a paradox? Paradox means something which is very kind of contradictory to each other, because he says something and then if you start to implement it, it will result into something completely opposite than what he is proposing. We'll see these things. So that is why Locke is called a kind of thinker of paradoxes, and he's a very fine proponent of direct democracy. Now, what is direct democracy that we need to understand? On every issue, if you on every issue, if you want to have a poll, this poll that I want to decide whether I should wear this shirt or some other shirt, let there be a poll in my family, my parents, all the family members, they would cast their vote to decide which shirt would I wear. This is an example of direct democracy. Okay, yes. So he favors direct democracy. Everything an opinion vote should be done. But do you think it's possible in a country like India, or it's impossible in a country like France also? It's a big country. No. See, Subhana, what you are saying is a blanket generalization. That's not true actually. Why it's not true? No thinker has failed miserably. Some of their thinking has failed. We cannot label that every thinker has failed miserably. What is the use of studying them then? There is some practical relevance. That's why you think social contract has failed? It's not. Still there is a social contract. The rule of law, which Locke talks about, the liberalism that he talked about, it's not failed. It's more important than ever. What Plato and Aristotle talk about, that the king should be well educated and he must be doing this and that, it's not failed. Of course, some things become irrelevant. Not everything can stand the test of times. Okay. So because of this thing, there are some, because no one can be 100% right. After all, they were humans. Okay. They were not God. Only God can be 100% right all the time, not humans. And he or every thinker is a human. So humans are prone to human mistakes. We all have made mistakes, so did they. Now the thing is that Rousseau, coming back to Rousseau, paradox here seems to suggest that he's proposing something and then something else is happening. When you implement that very thing, then something else is happening. That is why we are calling him a man of paradoxes, a paradoxical political thinker. Now, he is very much in favor of direct democracy, and he has inspired the liberals. He has inspired the socialists. Now, liberal and socialist are completely contrary to each other. Someone who inspires both has to have an element of contradiction in him. So he also wrote this book, Social Contract. It's one of the most famous books, and he says that every individual is a good person. Okay, every individual is a good person. It is the society that is bad. So till now we were trying to build an ideal society with our previous thinkers, where man has to be regulated according to a certain way, because there are inherent deficiencies within a human. Someone is a man of reason, passion, these things we have seen, desire, courage. So he's saying, no, 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 every human being is a perfect human being. Problem lies with the society. So let us try to reform society. So that's a very, very novel approach. Okay, that's a very, very novel. No, he precedes. He's after, Locke precedes him. Locke, what was the time? I forgot. 17th century, right? So he is 18th century. 1712 to 1778 is Rousseau. Locke was prior to him. Of course, yes, of course, more than 100 years. But again, let me tell you, see, we consider Buddha and Jain to be contemporary. Ideologically speaking, if you have to study ideology, they will be considered contemporary, though they differ each other. Achita, we'll answer your question. I'll answer your question. Now, don't blame me. Rousseau is saying that. I'm not saying that. I'll tell you why he's saying that. We will know today why he's saying that. And I'm not to be blamed. I'm not to be blamed for any thinker, for any ideology, for any statutory action, for any legislative action. My job is to state the obvious to you, to make it clear to all of you, to make you comprehend these things. That's it. The gentleman who is smiling has said these things. We'll see. Now, what was I telling you? That what was I telling? The thing is that actually paradoxes are to be found because people having very contrary opinions are getting inspired by this guy. Now, let us see him, try to understand what he's saying. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was a French philosopher and author of the Age of Enlightenment. Again, he's considered to be the author of the Age of Enlightenment. His social contact theory greatly impacted the French Revolution and the development of liberal, conservative, and socialist theory. See, liberal is different, conservative is different, socialist is different. But he is inspiring everyone. So Rousseau's own view of philosophy and philosophers was firmly negative. He was not having a very high opinion about other thinkers. He considers himself to be very important. Something that all of us can at some point relate to. So what he's saying that people are not very philosophers are not many very worthy people, and seeing philosophy as apologists for various forms of tyranny. What this means that rationalizers, who is a rationalizer? When you rationalize something, it means that you justify it. Post hoc rationalizers. Now we have to study these things, postmodernism and modernism. Now we are talking about post-colonial, postmodern, and post-truth. Although it's not given in your syllabus, but we'll talk about it because in 2017 it was the word of the year by a very famous. They did something. I am unable to recall the name of the institution which picked it. So we have to see that. Post hoc, you can ignore it for the moment. But the rationalizer refers to someone who justifies things based on rationality. Okay, will give reasons why this is correct. Now his reason might be right or wrong. That will again be very subjective. That will be decided by me and you. Hear me like this. I don't like this. Can you hear me? Am I audible to all of you? So he's saying that these philosophers have rationalized self-interest. What I'm thinking, I'm trying to justify the same. This is his allegation on the philosophers, that you have tried to justify your self-interest, and this has resulted in tyranny. Tyranny, I've already explained to you in previous class, and you have become an apologist for the tyranny. Okay, you have become an apologist for the tyranny because in the pursuit of your self-interest, what you have done, you have kind of rationalized everything, rationalized things which you should not have done otherwise. So that's why he blames them and says that these philosophers are not good people. They are responsible for the tyrannies that we witness now. The concern that dominates Rousseau's work is to find a way of preserving human freedom. Try to understand this in a world where human beings are increasingly dependent on one another for the satisfaction of their needs. Now, no one can be completely kind of self-made. You know, you have come across people who claim to be self-made this and self-made that. That's not humanly possible, actually. Why? Because something or the other, how much self you will do? You will cook your own food, but who will grow that food? You will maybe wash or press your clothes, but how will you make that clothes? Right? So we cannot say that we are completely. You will buy a newspaper, but who will print that newspaper, and whom will you source the job of letting the news in it? Right? So we all are self-dependent. Now this phenomena of self-dependency, what it does, it takes away our liberty. How does it take away our liberty? Like a very gross example, uh, me and all of you, we have to sit for our sessions. Now you cannot do anything from 7:30 to 9 p.m. on weekdays, right or wrong, other than attend this enlightening sessions. And I cannot do anything other than explaining these words of wisdom to you. So ain't we self-dependent? But isn't there a curb on our liberty? Do not go into the merit of the argument whether the liberty is good, the curb is good or right, good or not. But isn't it? Ain't we all confined to this, right? Don't laugh, don't laugh. Don't send such smileys in your chat. We have been, our liberties have been compromised. So this session is being recorded and I'm saying these things. Okay. But the point is, this session is being, no, it's interdependency. And our self-dependency, see what is written here. You are to some extent dependent on me. If you come here for learning, then entirely dependent on me, right? So you are dependent on another individual. I am dependent on the institute, right? So isn't it a kind of what I'm saying, that we are dependent on one another for the satisfaction of some of our needs? You understood or not? And that to certain extent compromises our liberty. 1.5 hours every weekday. Are you understanding it? Galaxy I again forgot your name. Why don't you change your name? You understood? Galaxy A6. क्या नाम है भाई? Okay, all these Sam, right? Sam. All these questions that you have, we will examine everything. First, these things will come very handy. We will discuss these things also. So Rousseau is saying that man is working under such conditions. He has become so dependent on another individual. He is so much dependent on the other person that his liberty is compromised. So we are living in a world that has curbed the freedom of human beings, and that freedom has to be preserved. That needs to be enshrined and celebrated. Now, how to do it when we all are not self-dependent but interdependent? Okay, right. Now, next thing we see here. Rousseau believes man is not bad. Societies, man does not need to change. Society should change. He wants to reconcile liberty and authority. Very important line. Liberty, what I want to do. Authority, don't do everything like this. Do as I say. On certain things, this is what authority is. So that's why he says man is born free, but everywhere he is chained. Okay, man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains. He is in shambles, because you are born free. You don't have rationale. You don't have reason. You go on doing what you want to, but then you are told that this is right, this is unwise, this is not logical, reasonable thing. So, and there is authority on you to make you behave the way they want. So man in the state of nature was savage. Savage means that he was very gross, he was very rudimentary, he could do what he wanted to, yet he was noble. He was like very noble guy. Okay, he had no chal kapat, he had no element of deceiveness in him. It's after man developed reason that he became self-centered, that he became self-centered, mean, and like a deprived animal. So when you develop reason, according to Rousseau, you become self-centered, you become mean, and you become like a deprived animal. He developed feeling of mine and thine, mera or tumhara, mera and uska, thinking man is a deprived animal. So reason is responsible. So again, one of the only of its kind thinker in the Enlightenment era who is not happy with reason but is blaming reason. Okay, he is blaming reason. Again, something that we have never seen. Everyone was cherishing reason, right? Yes or no? You understand why he is blaming reason? Please let me know if you understand. See, Subhana, don't be concerned how things will work. See, don't try to contradict the thinker. Just empathize with what he's saying. Just understand what he's saying. He's not completely right. Okay, Krishna, I'll repeat. All of you listen to it. A man was born as a knave, and he had everything. There was no deprivation at all, and he was very rudimentary. He was very gross. He was like a savage. Savage, क्या होता है? Savage is like you do what you want to, without worrying about the consequences. Like a small kid can do what we cannot think about, right? Because we are reasoned people, right? Suppose if someone, like it used to happen with me a lot. If someone falls, I used to laugh a lot. Now, That's not a correct thing to do, right? Correct thing would be to go and pick up the person. I used to laugh and then I would offer my help or whatever. But a child, he will also do the same thing. He will laugh his guts out, right? Oh, he fell, boom. So this is a savage nature. This is a gross and naive nature. This is how man was in state of nature. In state of nature, right? Yeah, that okay. Why man was a savage? Why man was rudimentary and gross in state of nature? Because he was not making a conscious effort, right? Now, how did we all start making a conscious effort? When we attain some maturity and we develop the element of reason within us. Okay, we develop the element of reason within us. Then what happens? We attach reasoning to certain things, and then we try to say that whether this is right or this is wrong, and then things kind of become what do you call it? Then things become more cosmetic, and then man also becomes mean. Man also becomes self-centered and like a deprived addict. Is it all right? Once you start to reason, you will try to justify it based on certain logic, some uh, empirical evidences, and you will try to justify it. You will try to act as per what is justified. So that's how reasoning kind of brings a very temporary element in your habits, because there was no interest that he had. There was nothing compulsion. There was no compulsion. He had no vested interest. He could do what he wanted to. Okay, there was no other reason for doing a thing than rather than I want to do it. JJR, JJR, क्या है? Sam, अच्छा, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. No, he says that no, he's not saying reason must be basic or limited. He's saying the moment you have reason, you tend to act as per reason. Man is noble because his actions are driven by the desire to do it, not by reason to do it. See, desire is different, reason is different, right? Are you understanding? And then because of reason, he became possessive. He developed the element of mine and thine, that this belongs to me, that belongs to you. So this is how Rousseau is saying that reason has ruined man. Is it all right? Any other question anyone has? See, killing. If you kill someone, the intent is bad, the action is bad, but just because you desire to kill someone and you kill, so this can be a contradiction. Like you cannot justify everything. There cannot be a good intent behind killing someone, right? That's why we're saying that if his things are implemented, it results into something else than what he wants to. Okay, and he has a very uh, one-sided view of state of nature. He would not give this example. What example he would give? That man could understand the feeling of others, the joys and sorrows of others. Okay, this is what he would say in state of nature. Man was a noble creature in state of nature, he would say. He will never say that man will kill someone and I can justify that. No, what he will say that man is a very noble creature in state of nature. He is not like self-centered individual. That's why he will share happiness, he will share the pain, the sorrow of others, and he will try to work upon the sorrows of others. But when reason develops, he starts the feeling of mind and then comes into being. Okay, can I move now? No questions now? Now, what he's saying, man can be happy if he's free, and for that, either he should go back to state of nature or enter into a contract. Okay, to create a new society where one lives as per his real nature. Now, what is he saying? That man needs to be free. Only then he will. If there is authority on you, if there is several do's and don'ts on you, then you will not be free. And if you are not free, your liberty is curbed. You are not happy. Yes. Go back to nature. I'm coming to it. Go back to nature. Sam, you are right. Go back to nature means that you are a man without reason. You are a rudimentary, a savage person. But that's impractical. He himself says that that's impractical. The time wheel has moved, it's impossible to reverse the same. Okay, so what you can do now, you cannot go back to the state of nature, right? So what you can do, you can create a new society. Okay, you can create a new society where one would live as per his or her true nature. Okay, now he will come up with a concept called general will. You can see that general will. What is general will? Now, will has two parts, real will and actual will. He would say will has two parts, real will and actual will. General will is sum total of all real wills in popular sovereignty. Like I'll explain this. Now, first, what is real will and what is natural will? Actual will is like, artificial in nature. Like, mm, I'm thinking of some suitable example, but I'm not getting some suitable examples. Like, if I were to ask you, how do you see yourself 5 years from now? A favorite question of all HR people whenever they take interview. Tell me, how do you see yourself 5 years from now? I think if any of you have worked in a very nascent stage also, right? No, as an IS, it's the path is defined. Okay, as an IS. But if someone asks you, when you were not preparing for IAS, when you had no inclination towards IAS, then you would say that I want to do this, I want to do that. When suppose you are appearing for a corporate interview, suppose a very good Fortune 500 company has come in your campus, they have shortlisted you, and you are about to appear for it. So then, what would you say? That where do you see yourself for 5 years? Then, as per your actual will, which is a made up, okay, it's a fabricated will. What would you say? That I see myself somewhere in your company, middle management hierarchy level, okay, bringing more revenue to your company, serving your clients, this and that, and doing good for myself and for the company, okay, blah blah blah. यही सब बोलोगे? But the fact of the matter is, your real will is that I will stay here as long as I get a better package from your rival, right? Or I'll start preparing for civil services the moment I uh, get some basic idea, right? So actual will is fabricated under the influence of society. See, society, family, employment, all these are actual will. Real will, everyone wants to be Abhijay Mallya before Kingfisher crisis. Speaking of good times, okay? Everyone wants to chill, be at exotic locations with beautiful people around you, beautiful drink in your hand. This is what everyone actual will would be for a materialist person. Actual and what is the real will would be? What is the actual will that you have to slog it out to make a living, right? So you maintain a family, and then you have kids, they go to school. So this is how he says that will has two parts, the real and the actual. Actual will is actually under the influence of society. It is under the influence of society. Okay. Real will is the original will, the rudimentary will. Did you understand this? So he says that do not, he considers society to be a bad thing, right? Because society will always act as a constraint in the path of the human. It will restrict the human liberty. It will ask you to behave in a fixed way, a pattern. So he says that actual will is something which we all are forced to follow as per the norms of the society. Yes, actual will is lie. According to Rousseau, actual will is lie. That is why he talks about general will. His general will is a sum total of all the real wills. And that's why it's called popular sovereignty. For example, the Constituent Assembly of India, I have given the example deliberately because we, how does the constitution start? We the people, right? So some people on behalf of all of us made a constitution according to which the government, the country would run and function and will be administered. The legislative, executive, and the judicial functionings were crystal clearly mentioned under different categories of the constitution, the parts and the schedules and every articles. So this was actually real will. Why? Because we all wanted self-government. We all wanted to end the British rule. And we wanted that freedom fighters who have toiled so hard for us, the Gandhis, the Nehrus, the Patels, and everyone, they should give us a guideline so that our country functions properly in many more years to come. Okay. So that was actual will. Sorry, real will, not actual will, because more or less everyone wanted the same thing. Okay. Now he says that sovereignty always remains with people. Even the Constituent Assembly says we the people, right? So he's saying that sovereignty always remains with people. Okay. It is diffused in the society. Man can be forced to be free. Very, very, very important thing he's saying, that man can be forced to be free. Now, anyone is having question till sovereignty, because we have to explain this last statement. Anyone? A real will is a fundamental ideal. What is fundamental ideal, Santosh? Idealistic as in because different people will have different real will. That's why. Idealistic as in because real will might differ from person to person. That's why. It's not diluted, it's divided. Diffused is different from dilute. Diffused means that it is divided in the people. The effect is same. Dilute is when you mix it with something else, right? You take a glass of juice and you distribute it into two. It will become diffuse. You mix water into it, it will become dilute. Yes, yes, I'm giving all examples. What we will for will happen. Actually, there is something it can become a paradox. I'll leave the paradox for now. Real will is something that you are forced to, or actual will is something that you are forced to say. Real will is something that you want to say. That's it. Nothing beyond this. You are forced to say something, that's your actual will, and you are saying something that you want to say is your real will. Sovereignty is not divided, sovereignty is with the people. Yes, but people are different individuals. And how it will be uniform, that we'll see now. So what is he saying? That man is forced to be free. Write few lines. Few lines you write, then we'll proceed. You have pen and papers, all of you? Please write. Many political analysts, many political thinkers, not analysts, many political thinkers have equated, many political thinkers have equated the general will of Rousseau, the general will of Rousseau with Hobbes, with Hobbes, because both of them give major power to the state, major power to the state. They go on, full stop के बाद, they go on to justify, they go on to justify the forceful acts of the state, which means if the state is forcing you to do something, that's correct. Remember what Hobbes said, convenience without swords. What was that? Can someone tell me? Forgot. Convenient without swords are just word, nothing but word. So convenience without swords, which means you need, Machiavelli said the same thing. I think yes, we have not done that because I've kept that comparison for with Chanakya. Machiavelli says that in the absence of best of the weapons, the best of the laws will not work. Right or wrong? In the absence of the best of the weapons, even the best of the laws will not work. Why only write for China, not for India? Why only write for China, not for India? Why is there a protest in Delhi, not in Lucknow? Why do people come out and block the roads in Delhi and not in Lucknow? Now you know why Machiavelli is right on these things. Best of the weapons are needed for best of the laws to be implemented. The fear of authority has to be there. Yes. So continue with it. You can quote Hobbes, just write convenience without dot 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 under comma, so that you know that you can quote this in this answer. How are they similar? Okay, just write that convenient without dot 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 bracket. You can write Hobbes. Rousseau says man can be forced to be free. Write more, then we'll see these things. Rousseau says what you said, what you wrote.
Man be
Man
forced to
should,
be free.
yes, full stop. And you have compared it with Hobbes' convenience without swords wala statement. Now you write, for Hobbes, state is sovereign. For Hobbes, state is sovereign. And for Rousseau, sovereignty is what? Diffused. For Rousseau, sovereignty is diffused. So it is diffused. That is, it lies with people. Rousseau's general will, Rousseau's general will is a reflection of his fondness for democracy. How democracy? Rousseau's general will is his reflection of his fondness for democracy. Yes, people will be voting. We have general will. Everyone has a general will. Yes, because it will emerge. How will it manifest? Or it will manifest when people participate in lawmaking process. When people participate in lawmaking process. Okay, change the para. An autocratic ruler, an autocratic ruler can manipulate general will. What would happen if general will is given to Hitler or Mussolini or Mao? Right? Try to understand that man will be free only when there is an authority. Else, back to the anarchic rule state of nature, right? So man will be free only when there is authority, and then he will be governed by the general will. This is a sum total of real will. Actually, can be a rogue state also if it is manipulated. Can be a totalitarian autocratic dictatorship will emerge. Right? So man, in order to be free, man needs authority, and that authority will be given the general will. General will is a sum total of real will of everyone. Is it all right with all of you? An autocratic ruler can manipulate the general will, which which is not the intention of Rousseau. Which is not the intention of Rousseau. What you have written and see if you have any doubt. Can you hear me? Hello. A message flashed that my internet connection is, which is not what you wrote. Please write the full sentence. The intention of Rousseau. He is democratic, right, Ram? He is democratic. He believes in direct democracy. So he will never want that a autocratic ruler comes, manipulates everything, and turns up to be a monster like Mussolini and Hitler or Mao. Okay. Yes, yes. See, Hitler was also. Do you know the story? Have you heard anyone saying that even Hitler had the support of his people? How many of you have heard this? Even Hitler had support of people in Germany. How do I know it? We are sitting. I'm in Delhi, one in Hyderabad. We are sitting so far. Still, how did I hear it? The thing is, those who say this are either cunningly ignorant or innocently ignorant. Who is cunningly ignorant? Cunning है तो फिर ignorant नहीं है. Cunning is that he or she knows the truth but is not telling you. He's manipulating you. He will show you the Nazi rallies where all that Henoken Cruz, which is called swastika by many of us, it's actually Henoken Cruz. Okay, the vast Nazi rallies, people doing this Nazi salute, Hitler giving very, fiery speeches, a sea of people, right? And they will say even Hitler had support. The fact of the matter is that support never translated into vote. Hitler not even won one third of the total seats in the German parliament. The communists and socialists won many seats more than Hitler. Okay, but again, I'm coming to general will. That's why I'm giving you some historic facts. See, there are great lessons in history for all of us. And a right knowledge is very, very important because else you will be manipulated. Someone will show you, see the huge rallies of Hitler. Any person can have support. Even Hitler had support and Germany had to pay for it. No, that support did not translate into vote is not what they will tell you. They will not tell you that even communists and socialists had more than more the number of seats in German parliament than Hitler, and he could not attain even one third of the seats. Okay, what happened was the German king or the president invited him to become the chancellor. Why? Despite not coming close to majority in the parliament. If democracy was to prevail, Hitler would have never become the chancellor. But because he was targeting the communists, okay, and king was scared that communists might bring something like Russian Revolution in Germany. King was bourgeois, right? Ruling elite was bourgeois. So the king said that let me support this guy because he kills Jews. I'm not concerned with them. He kills communists. I'm concerned with that. So let me ask him to become the chancellor. Now, once he becomes chancellor, he manipulates everything. And then comes elections never happened after he became chancellor. Then reign of terror will happen. Concentration camps will happen. King followed Machiavelli. King was not even close to Machiavelli. But the thing is, and this you can read in your class 10th old NCERT, world history. Okay, no need to read. I say the best book for world history is written by Professor Ellen Mukherjee. I don't know whether it's available in your city because in Delhi only one bookshop has it. At least used to have it. So Hitler manipulated the general will. Okay, and then people had to pay for it. He was not a democratically, neither he nor Mussolini. Yes, Ellen Mukherjee. Yes. Have you read that? Say we don't try to read world history. That's only in your main exam. Okay. So his intent is noble, but what if his general will is manipulated? It will turn into an atrocious regime. Now you understand the paradox. Okay, Sam, you can check it later. My question is, his general will is for the perpetuation of direct democracy, which, if manipulated by a cunning fellow, can result into totalitarian state. Now you understand why I was saying at the start of the class that what he intends to promote and the way he intends to promote, the result would be completely different? Yes or no? His general will tries to bring direct democracy to everyone, but manipulation of same would result into disaster, which he never wants. All theories of political science are applied on people only, not in laboratories, in societies, right? No doubts here. If you have question, please ask. Why we are calling him a paradoxical thinker? Because what he's saying looks very good in theory, but can result into equally disastrous results. Can give equally disastrous results. Yes, it can work either ways. That is why paradox. That is why contradiction. If there was one way, whether good or bad, at least he would not be paradoxical. Correct? Did you understand or not? All of you got it, right? I can move. Now see this slide. Only when people participate in lawmaking process, then general will emerges. So how will it emerge? When people participate in lawmaking process. Okay. He has championed a direct democracy. What is genuine will? And he has given some characteristics of genuine will that is invisible. You cannot kind of, feel it because it's invisible. It is always correct. There is no denying the fact by Rousseau that general will is always correct. It is the sum of all wills that we have seen, and only the state. He has again used a term. Uh, I did not write it. Uh, just one line, right? State is equal to body politic. State is equal to body politic. Body, B-O-D-Y, they are two separate words. Space, politic, P-O-L-I-T-I-C. Body politic is nothing but state. It's the state or the body politic that represents the general will. Written, man is free only when he acts as per the general will. Because it is a sum total. Okay. Man is free because he has contributed to the election process, and body politic or the state has come up with general will which has my contribution, which has my real will in it. General will is a sum total of actual will or real will. So, good, real will. So my freedom will remain when I obey the general will. Now, isn't it something called positive liberty? Something we discussed long back, I guess. Something we discussed long back. So when you are submitting something to state and state is saying you to follow these things, when state asks you to act in a certain way, that would be positive liberty. There are certain zones where individual is inviolable, state will not come. It's a negative obligation, that's a negative liberty. I've already explained these things to you with examples. So what he's saying is very close to positive liberty or moral freedom. Because of morality, certain elements of freedom are compromised. Okay. Did you understand the link between these two, positive liberty and man is free when he acts as per the general will? Or you want me to make you write 3 to 4 lines? Please let me know. There shall be no confusion with any of you. Please let me know whenever you feel like writing things. Okay, all of you write. Not just one paragraph you write. Nothing to worry. Asha, are you going through those PDFs? Are you reading the PDF? Are you able to understand them? Okay, right now. Rousseau believes in the concept of general will. Rousseau believes in the concept of general will, an aggregate of which is an aggregate of real will. Individuals have real will. Individuals have real will, and is a collection of all the real wills which lies with the state, man will be free if he acts as per general will, which is a prerogative of state, positive liberty, after full stop, right? Positive liberty is the area where the state can restrict the individual rights. Positive liberty is the area where the state can restrict the individual right by legislation and policy. Rousseau's general will comes very close to positive liberty. Because both aim at restricting freedom for what? So, Someone who can tell me? For, if you have understood it, you will very well know it. Good state, okay. Anything better? It's not wrong. Better living. For, you write, not ideal. Utilitarian causes. For utilitarian causes, use the words of your subject. Okay, your examiner will be happy. For utilitarian causes, and when he or she is happy, he or she gives you good marks. It makes perfect sense, right? Positive liberties for the welfare of all of us. That is what utilitarianism is. Learn to use these terms. Are you going through the glossary that I gave you? Don't just keep it and then let the dust pile up on it. At least twice or thrice a week, please read some parts, page by 10 pages, 10 pages next week. I'm not asking you to read it every day from first to last page. No, no, make it a point to read at least, 3 to 4 pages twice a week. Not too much to ask for. Can easily do that. It will give you a better understanding on the subject. Okay, you see the slides here, I'm explaining it to you, then you revise it, then you read the PDF. See, it gives you, I have put very lucid examples in those terms also. So everything is being done with a purpose. Please learn from that. Okay, utilize it to the maximum. That's it. Now you see the last point. Rousseau argues that the law must be general in application and universal in scope. The law cannot name particular individual and it must apply to everyone within the state. So I was asking Aditya about the PDF file that I have given to everyone in the group Telegram channel. It was about this the glossary of terms which I gave during the I think first class, before first class of our module. So he says that the law must be general in application, universal in scope. What does that mean? General in application, universal in scope. It says that it will apply to everyone similarly. Okay, law cannot name particular individual. It must apply to everyone within the state. Okay, there shall be no exemptions from law. There will be no separate laws for separate people. Okay, law must be general in application. It will apply and universal in scope, which means that the law aims to correct few wrong acts, maybe penalize someone who is committing a criminal offense or civil offense, forbid someone from, someone must be having that fear of law so that he or she will not commit the offense. So it also restricts future crimes. It punishes criminal. That is the scope. That must be not to be selective. Yes, rule of law will come very close. Of course, rule of law. This is must be unbiased, right? Article 21. See, Article 21 is any article it can be, but then there are certain fundamental rights that have positive discrimination. So we shall not go into fundamental rights now. How people kill the French king? It is close to UCC. Yes, when it says that generally in application universal scope UCC. Krishna, which French king? Louis XVI. So how people kill him? He was killed on guillotine machine. How as in? No, that was there was no law. Again, you will study French Revolution. Wait for that. No, there was something called tennis court oath. There was something called Jacobean club. There was something called reign of terror. So that was not perfectly lawful killing. Okay, general will, how it is determined? It is determined by aggregating the real will. And who takes a call? Body politic or the state does. Herein lies the contradiction, that you are allowing the state to decide what is general will, and then you say that there should be direct democracy. You realize the contradiction within Rousseau. Despite his noble democratic intentions, he is giving rise to something that can be catastrophic. Yes, did you understand? Yes. That's how democracies work, right? So that is what we had for today. Questions you have, you can ask. Yes, do not try to apply these concepts in contemporary India. Anywhere in the world, the way he has said it back in 18th century will not hold true. See, things have changed largely. But regarding law, give me a day. Tomorrow I'll talk about it because I want to see the slide. I'm unable to open it right now. So I'll see it. You have sent it to me on Telegram, but for some reason my phone is not accepting and I cannot open it here on this. So I'll see it tomorrow. We can start with that. Okay. And then see, Krishna, do not equate this with India. Which thinker will work perfectly in India? Plato will, no. Aristotle, no. Machiavelli, no. Hobbes, no. Locke, no. Rousseau, no. We have to study Bentham, no. Mill, no. Marx, no. Never. Okay, Sumana is saying that this is a better way where I do not indulge into making flowcharts with pen and papers and I interact like that. Again, that can be very subjective, right? How many of you want to continue like this and not use that? Harsha also feels. Vishnu does not. Ah, so that's the issue, Anirudh. See. Okay. Please stop. What if I do both in the same class? What if my pen is working on the slides and I'm also here? My camera is on. None of you will have an issue then. I'm reading everything. This is why I'm against direct democracy. This is why I don't like Rousseau's idea of direct democracy. Polynormatism. Anyone who can tell me? Does anyone remember what was polynormatism? याद है किसी को? No one. I'll explain it, Shreyas. But before that, let me clarify this that I would be using both. Okay, I would be using both. I'll have my slides, camera would be on, and my pen will be with me. None of you will have an issue. See, do you remember, Shreyas, what was prismatic society? What was that? Post-colonial theory. If you remember that, what happened there is that the influence of imperial countries. I'm telling you, yeah, the influence of imperial countries was on the colonies. So post-colonial theories, which became independent after the era of imperialism and colonialism was over, had what Higgs called prismatic societies. What is prismatic society? Anyone? Traditional pattern. Try to understand. Traditional pattern coexist with what? You have written coexist. Coexist with modern features, which means you are wearing a jeans and you are touching the feet of your elders. You are wearing a torn jeans. Okay. So jeans is something that is coming from industrial revolution. Do you know this? Jeans was the cloth of the Mazdoor. Jeans, Levi's straws, right? The most cherished brand of youngsters, the Red Loop brand. So Levi's was actually making jeans for for the workers who used to work in the mines. Okay, coal mines and iron mines, because they were working under very tough conditions. So they needed a cloth which would not tear away instantly, which would withstand the dirt and dust and everything, which does not need to be washed often. And now it became a fashion statement in colonies. So prismatic societies refer to those societies, post-colonial societies, where modernity, not modernity, where the impact on behavior which was given by imperial masters coexist with the traditional values. Prism scatters white light into 7 colors. Vibgyo, you have learned this in your school. That is how there are several prismatic groups in society, in traditional societies. Okay, transition phase it refers to. Polynormatism, normal situation, it's very normal, and people are poly means many, so there are many such groups, which is completely okay, but there is a transition phase. They are changing from one to the other. Their social structure is changing. Okay, have you attended those classes where you presented the class? Okay, you understood now. Just read it once. Stress. Just do one thing. Just read it once. You have the material with you, right? I've already sent the PDFs. So just read it. Still, if there is a problem, we can separately talk on that. You can call me and we can discuss that. If still there is a problem, don't worry. Chalo. We shall meet tomorrow, same time. Till then, take good care, study hard, revise these things, go through your PDFs. Okay, we are meeting tomorrow.